Welcome to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Got another good show lined up for you this week, and I know you'll think so after viewing it. It's a clip show, our best of. For all the guests we've had, we've got some fantastic interviews. If you've missed them the first time they aired, we're going to rerun them for you tonight. And also, if you have seen them, enjoy them again. So thanks for tuning in. I know you'll enjoy it. And here we go with Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara.
When you're a farmer, there's a lot of things you can't control. But there is a way to give your soybeans an early advantage. Mershman Seeds soybean seed treatment featuring Turpidity ST. An independent analysis has proven faster and more even emergence every time. Just look at the Mershman difference. Give your crop the boost it needs for a uniform stand. For the best yields, grow with us. Mershman Seeds.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Chevrolet. We've lived through some very interesting times the last few months. Ensuring everyone's safety is more important than ever. That is why we are participating in the Chevy Clean program. At your request, we will pick up your vehicle, service it, and return it after we've cleaned it using the current CDC guidelines. This is just another way to work towards exceeding your expectations. So give us a call and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
Farming makes a positive difference in my life. I love to take care of the yards and the flowers in the garden, but I also like the opportunity that I have now that I can get in the combine and help when they need that. During the fall, one of the main things that I take care of is hauling grain to the elevator or hauling it here onto the farm and getting it in the bins. Women in general just have more opportunities that they can show their strengths today on the farm.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. Pleased to have this guy join us. You can see on the screen, he is Austin Ash, current Iowa men's basketball player. Congratulations in order to Austin in just a second here. I'll mention it to him again, to you, the viewers. Austin now on full scholarship with the Iowa Hawkeye men's basketball program. I always say, Austin, well, first of all, thanks for joining us. And secondly, big time congratulations to you. A job well earned and a job well done by you. You made it. Congratulations.
Thanks, Dave. Really appreciate it.
Oh, it's my pleasure. Austin, I say this a lot on this program, and the viewers know. I always say I don't normally play favorites on this show, but who am I kidding? I've known Austin his whole life. Austin's dad and I went to school together in Castalia, Postville school area together, played all the sports together in high school. I will remind you, though, Austin, your dad's a year older than me. But I'd like to start with your past, and I've followed you your whole career, obviously, from youth basketball up to now, through high school to now the Iowa Hawkeyes. The thing that has always impressed me is your competition or your level of competitiveness, and it's still to this day. But coming up as a youth, and your dad was one of your AAU coaches, I just found it fascinating. He shared an older picture with me from back in the day of some great teammates you had, and you guys were, I believe it was the 5th grade AAU champs in the state of Iowa. Am I right on this?
Yep.
Give me some of the names. Tiger Campbell from UCLA, from UCLA now. Jack Nungy,
Yep.
A.J. Green, Austin Fife of Northern Iowa basketball. I know I'm leaving others off. Give me more.
John Nagel was on that team, West Delaware, 1,000-point scorer. Nate Distroff, Iowa City West standout, multi-sport athlete there. Nate Menser, Alex Davenport, a couple Limar guys, but that was the main core you mentioned right there.
Man, what a veritable who's who. So as I joked with your dad, geez, I mean, it was all coaching and no talent, right?
Yeah, pretty much. She didn't have
Boy,
to do much.
Something else. Yeah, and so you go back with Jack Nungy a long way, and then obviously it was well documented this year, but a lot of people didn't know. Jack grew up in Iowa City, and tell about that 5th grade year, and then his dad was transferred into Indiana as a doctor, and our heart breaks for Jack Nungy, what happened this year, and he transferred. So not only you as a team collectively got him through that, but now with Jack moving on and transferring, talk about that a little bit. You guys are a very close team. We all know this, but that really had to resonate with you guys and understanding that he transferred.
Yeah, I mean, we all love Jack. When it happened, we obviously were all there for him. It was hard for him, and not a lot of us have gone through something like that. So what do you tell a guy like that? You put your arms around him, tell him you love him, and you wish him the best. And we hope that he gets that where he goes next, and that he'll have a lot of success there. But we all love him and wish him the best for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's all you can do. And you guys did a great job of that. And Jack, what a stalwart to come through that as well as he did. So, Austin, I got to ask you, coming through the ranks, you're one of Mount Vernon's top all-time leading scorers in boys basketball, 1,000-plus or 1,200-point-plus score. And now you go to Iowa, and you had a lot of opportunities to play at smaller schools, but you were close from AAU basketball with the McCaffrey boys, with Fran and Margaret McCaffrey, your parents, them. You had a lot going on to go there, not just because you were friends or close to the family, but because of your abilities. And take us through that conversation when Coach McCaffrey, when Fran asked you to come on board as a preferred walk-on with the Iowa program and where it's led today with the full scholarship.
Yeah, it was the summer going into my senior year. I actually played pretty well at a couple of AE tournaments. I coached at Bennett because obviously Connor and Patrick played for the same organization as us. And I was starting to come onto the scene a little bit. A lot of NAIA schools, like my first scholarship was Clark. They called me and told me that they wanted me to come down on some visits and stuff like that. So obviously I was very excited from having no schools to have 3 or 4 schools now contact me. Northwest Missouri State, really good Division II program as well. And then, I mean, he talked to me, and then at the end of the phone call, he's like, we want you to come down and be a preferred walk-on here at Iowa and put some weight on you, get you stronger, and you never know in 3 or 4 years what the possibilities could be. He knows I can shoot the ball, and he has a lot of confidence in me since the day one, and obviously he showed that this year by rewarding me with the scholarship. So very grateful I took that opportunity for sure.
Shoot the ball indeed, viewers in Austin, because, again, another AAU story in Kansas City as you were playing in a tournament there, and they had a three-point shooting contest. They had slam dunk contest. The NBA player Trae Young that played at Oklahoma and now is with the Atlanta Hawks, you beat him in a three-point contest. All humility aside here, be honest, tell us the story, please.
Yeah, so like you said, it was a tournament in Kansas City, and they brought all the teams together for the NCAA video about what you have to do eligibility-wise to stay eligible so you can go to these Division I schools. So they brought everybody together to watch that video, and to get people in, they did a three-point contest, slam dunk contest, whatever. So like the top 8 programs got to choose one shooter from any age level. So I was chosen. I think there was 8 of us, and there were some recognizable names in there. But Trae was obviously the one that stood out to me. And first round, I put up a decent number. Wasn't sure I'd get in the finals, and I did. Trae actually, I think, might have had a higher score than the first round, but top 2 went to the final. So it was me and him, and I went first. And I specifically remember when Trae Young went. It was Trae Young from wherever, has offers from Duke, North Carolina, Oklahoma State, and then it was like, all right, 5'9" from Cedar Rapids, Iowa, Austin Ash. So I had the crowd behind me for sure. They're pulling for the underdog. So I went first. I put up a pretty big number. I think I got 23 or 24. And you got shot 4 shots in a money ball, and then when he was on his 4th rack, he was dead. He even if he made the rest, it was over. So I stood up, and the trophy was about as tall as me back then. And got to celebrate that with all my teammates. It was a pretty cool moment for sure.
Yeah, I love that. All the, he's going here, and offers here. Austin Ash, undecided. Yeah, and again, You grew up in Cedar Rapids, but went to Mount Vernon, neighboring Mount Vernon High School. And Austin, I got to say, I've known you, again, your whole life. Your dad and I are lifelong friends, grew up together. And what I enjoy most about you and talking to you, as people can see now, your energy, your enthusiasm on the bench when you're playing, cheering your team on, but the competitive fire that burns through you. And I've seen it, whether you're playing euchre, a card game, and yes, folks, big euchre player Austin is. But I got to say, seeing you play, and when you get your chance and your opportunities, you had a conversation with me privately, a birthday party for you a couple years ago, and you and I were talking together alone in your parents' basement, just chit-chatting about life, and you said, Dave, I'm at Iowa not just to be Rudy, the famous movie of the Notre Dame football player. I really plan on playing at Iowa. So I'd like you to talk a little bit about what your thoughts are going into this year now being on full scholarship. It's not just to say, hey, last year didn't count, I've got this year, and potentially the next year. Jabo's coming back. We don't know about Joe Wieskamp yet. CJ Frederick is gone. Jack Nungy is gone. Luca Garza is going to move on to pro basketball. Give me your thoughts about where you are going into this year, and also with the team, if you don't mind, please.
Yeah. Ever since I came here, that was the goal. Obviously, first couple of years, not a ton of expectations. Went into it just trying to get bigger, faster, stronger, get some experience playing against some of the best guards in the country. And I definitely got that and improved throughout those years as well. And then coming up on, not last year, but the year before, we had a couple of guys go down, and I had a little bit of a window opportunity there, played some meaningful minutes at Indiana, and then had a really good opportunity to get a lot of minutes at Nebraska because they played a lot of zone defense and were all in on Luca, and CJ Frederick was out that game. I actually ended up getting ruled out with mono right before the game. So that would have been a big opportunity for me. So That hurt then, obviously. And then going to this year, we're just loaded with guards. And then with the COVID year, there was no red shirts, so it made it very difficult for me. So that was frustrating. But I mean, just take the most every opportunity I was getting. And then leading up to this year, I mean, that's still the goal, just to try to find a way to get in that rotation and find a way to help the team any way as possible, whether that's on the bench, cheer my teammates on, or being that guy to hit the open three and make the extra pass on offense and stuff like that. But that's definitely the goal, and that's what I'll be working on this summer with my teammates, just trying to find my spot on the team.
Yeah, you know, it's been fascinating for me on the air and off the air having these conversations with your dad, Kerry. And obviously, I don't want to bring a lot of private information on the air that we've discussed. But, you know, what I find fascinating with your team, and it's well documented now, but back in the day, how close you and Luka are, and you and Connor McCaffrey, you all, you know, live together. And then you also have apartments right next to you with the rest of the team living together in separate units. But I think it's fascinating how close you guys are and what you and Luka share, especially, and seeing that on the court when he would come off from timeouts. And there's no secret you want to go into coaching for your future. You've verbalized that to me before, and I presume that's still your plan after your playing days. But to see you and Luka have these conversations and you pointing things out and him taking to heart what you were telling him and him also offering you some thoughts, just take us into that, whatever you can, that relationship that you and Luka shared. I think it's very special on and off the floor.
Yeah, I think that's one thing that makes Iowa special. I mean, ever since I got here, it's a family atmosphere. Like, no one's treating anybody differently. It's even with the managers, the assistant coaches, the trainers. It's just one big family, and that's one reason I've loved my experience here, and one reason I came back for this year as well, is not just the basketball, but just the relationships. And that's one thing. Speaking on that, that's why Luka loved Iowa so much, and what made him so special is he didn't belittle everybody. He had a relationship with everybody, and he was someone that would listen to anything you said. So, I mean, as the years went on, as my knowledge grew for the game and everything like that, I would be getting to point stuff out to different players. And Luka was an obvious candidate because, I mean, he was getting double team, triple team. It's hard for him to see all those things on the court. So it was just little things like, oh, this guy's got 2 or 3 fouls, like attack this guy, or he's giving me some space. Sigma, pull for that jumper. CJ's in the opposite corner. Stuff like that just try to help people out. I talk to Connor all the time too, Jordan, just little things like that to help increase our chances of winning. And that's one thing is Luka, he'll listen to everybody. He wants to, any way he can get better or get an advantage on an opponent, he will definitely do.
Yeah, very impressive to watch that. So, Austin, I got to ask you this as we got a couple minutes left here with you. How do you see the team going this year? Where do you see, with Luka being gone? And well, first, before we get to that, do you see Luka getting drafted in one of the 2 rounds of the NBA draft, going overseas? Where do you see Luka's future? Not that I'm going to hold your feet to the fire on this, but I'm just curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I definitely think he'll get drafted. It's hard to know what team or what round and stuff, but I think once people see him in the combine and his work ethic and the way he just really shoots the ball, I think a lot of people don't realize how well he shoots the ball from deep. And I know that's something that he's working on every day, and his quickness has gotten so much better since last year when he already was possibly going to go in the second round and stuff like that. So I think someone will definitely take a chance on him, and he'll make it for sure.
Yeah, the consensus player of the year in college basketball. Let's hope so anyway. So, Austin, let's do this in the last minute or so I have with you for this week. I got to ask you where you see yourself with the team this year and how you see your guys, how your team is looking. I mean, everybody, we talked about the departures. Now let's talk about the guys coming back. And so you've got all these moving parts, a lot of questions, Austin, and I'm not asking you to give us the answers. Heck, we're only talking the early part of May here. We got a long way to go. But how do you see, what is the mood around the rest of these guys I just mentioned? I know you guys are still working out. So talk to me a little bit about next year.
Yeah, I'm really excited. It's obviously, you lose the National Player of the Year, so a lot of guys are going to have the opportunity to step up, and there's definitely guys that are ready to do that. Guys like Keegan Murray, Patrick McCaffrey, Tony, Aaron, and Connor can take his game to another level as well after getting surgery and feeling better and everything like that. But I think we're going to be a fast team. We're going to be fun to watch. Joe Toussaint is going to prove a lot of people wrong. Great player, can score the ball and can also pass the ball as well. I think we're going to be a lot of fun to watch, and I think the goal is the same: win a Big Ten championship and to make the NCAA tournament and make a run. I think we got the pieces to do that. I think it's going to be a little different, but we're going to be fun to watch. We're going to be up and down like we always are and shoot the ball a lot, so it's going to be good.
Look good indeed, and look for number 13 right there, Austin Ash, shooting that ball too. Congratulations again now on full ride scholarship at the University of Iowa Hawkeyes, a lifelong dream. And again, I know you want to go into coaching post your playing days, so keep soaking up all that information. Keep coaching your teammates as well as you do when you're not playing. And Austin, I can't tell you from a personal note, but also a professional note, knowing your family as well as I do and knowing you your whole life, I just really appreciate you joining me and able to share this joy with us in getting something well-deserved by you. Couldn't be happier for you, Austin. Thanks so much.
Thanks, Dave.
There is a spot for women in agriculture. There's many places for females, for female farmers. We can do a lot. Over the years, maybe we couldn't have always done everything, but there's lots of places we're finding on our dairy farm especially that females are really good at milking cows. They're really good caretakers. They're good at taking care of animals and observant and detail-oriented, which fits in well on a farm and can make an operation more successful.
Hi, I'm Joel from Tice Automotive Family. We're living through some of the most interesting and challenging times many of us have ever seen. Knowing who you can rely on is more important than ever. Many of us turn to our families to get us through, and the same holds true here. From our fair, upfront pricing to exceptional service after the sale, we truly want to exceed your expectations. So give us a call or stop by and let us show you what it means to be part of the Tice Automotive family.
One word means more to farmers than any other: yield. Nobody knows this better than your friend in the field, Mershman Seeds. With industry-leading seed treatments like Turpidity ST, you'll see faster emergence and more bushels per acre. Become a part of the Mershman family and see the difference in your field. Mershman Seeds.
Welcome back to Hawkeye with me, Dave O'Hara. As you can see on the screen, I got a big smile on my face because the guy right next to me, Jess Settles, one of the all-time greats in Iowa basketball history, former Mr. Iowa basketball in high school, committed to play at the University of Iowa, but made his rounds around the country on on-campus visits. And you see Jess smiling there. He and I talked off air a little bit. Go online. We don't have time today, but you got to go for the legendary story of Jess Settles on his visit to Notre Dame when the legendary John McLeod was coaching there. Fran McCaffrey was an assistant there, and Jess walked up on Julia Roberts and introduced himself. Yes, that Julia Roberts, the famous actress, with her then boyfriend, Jason Patrick. So, Jess, as you said off the air, your street cred went off through the roof back then, right?
Hey, look, I had to represent Iowa, right? I had to bring the Iowa flavor to that. And the worst thing that could happen is she could say no, but she had me sit down and I talked with her. So you can go find the interview. It was great.
That is awesome. And I'll tell you, the bravado of an 18-year-old, that is awesome. And you said too, Fran retold that story on the Big Ten Network with Mike Hall, one of your buddies there at the Big Ten Network. And I love that story. I heard it years ago, and the retelling of that gets better over time, Jess, as always. But again, you're a broadcaster on the Big Ten Network, also an Iowa farmer from Southeast Iowa, Winfield, Mount Union to be exact. So it's always great to talk to an Iowan, but also a former Iowa Hawkeye great, now broadcaster. So Jess, let's get into it right away. Again, as always, thanks for joining me. And I know everything's going well and busy for you as you're pulled over talking to us before you get into the hotel. And you're going to be calling some games and doing studio work at the Big Ten Network. You're in Chicago now.
Yeah, this is a fun time of year because this is when there's a new level of pressure. You start talking about the bubble talk for some teams. You start talking about the urgency to get the double bye. Obviously, it's a weird year with COVID and going to Indianapolis for everything. But there will be so many teams that you mentioned coming after each other because there's so much on the line. And you get the Iowa Hawkeyes, the Michigan Wolverines rolling into town, and every coach and every player is saying, hey, if we can win this game, this totally changes our season. This totally changes the outlook of us going into the tournament. Other teams obviously fighting like crazy to get to the double bye. So this is just the time of year that if you're a player, you really live for this. If you're a competitor, you know the importance of it, the national television, all the things that are on the line. And yes, I mean, what was it? Dean Oliver, Reggie Evans and company won 4 games in 4 days at the Big Ten tournament. I think Horner, Brunner, and Haluska, or maybe it was, I can't remember. I know it was Wrecker on that team, went to the final 4 games in 4 days. So it's possible. I guess Horner, Brunner, and those guys won it. But Wrecker's team played 4 games in 4. So it's possible to do that. But over time, the history has shown that you got to get that double bye. There's just too much competition, especially this year. There won't be a team probably that does that. So yeah, there's a lot online. It's fun for fans. It's fun for analysts, and it's stressful for coaches. Let me tell you, Dave.
They're feeling it right now, and you are correct. In the 05-06, so the Big Ten tournament of 06, Jeff Horner was the MOP, or most outstanding player, most valuable player, and they won it. But you're right, Evans and those guys went on a roll for 4 in a row. And what a history that is. But as you said, it's highly unusual and highly unlikely for that to happen. But let's do this in the last couple minutes I have with you for this segment and this week, Jess. Give me a little takeaway on some of these teams. So obviously, again, when the viewers see this show, the Wisconsin-Iowa game will have already been played, but Iowa plays Wisconsin again to end the season. And again, with a loss already in the top 10 this week earlier on Monday night, then the Hawks will go into the top 10 if they updated it each day. But number 10 against number 20, we'll say. What is Iowa facing in Wisconsin? And let us know if for game 2, because again, game 1 will have already been seen by our viewers. But what do the Hawks see in Wisconsin?
Well, you're playing against the defending Big Ten champions or co-champions, and this is a veteran team. They've got, what's been floating around Twitter for the last couple months is that their starting lineup is average age is older than the Chicago Bulls starting lineup. Right, that's mind blowing. So just a lot of great players, good coaching, a team that hasn't shot the ball very well consistently for some odd reason this year. If you roll into the Kohl Center tonight and watch one of their practices, they're going to shoot 60-70%, in practicing with the shooting gun, but they haven't been able to carry that over to games for some reason. So they're a very dangerous, well-coached, great team. When Iowa plays them, it's usually a toss-up.
Yeah, it really is. And then when you talk about they got to play Michigan yet and Ohio State, last minute or so, give me a little taste of those, give me a little idea on those teams with Michigan and Ohio State at or near the top of the Big Ten. We already know about Illinois, but I tell you what, with Ohio State and Michigan, playing that Michigan game and Ohio State, those are going to be some tough opponents as well.
Yeah, they're tough opponents, and you'd much rather play against those guys and be on national television. Those are just what games that competitors want to play. But, Michigan has a wonderful freshman center named Hunter Dickinson. And he's just, to me, he's a 5-star recruit, but he seems to me like he's way ahead of schedule as far as what it takes to compete at the Big Ten level. And he's just a rebounding force, a great defensive player. So that matchup with Luka will just be fascinating to watch. And typically Juwan Howard has just decided to single coverage Luka and fan out so the 3-point shooters can't beat him. So that will be interesting. Livers is, I think, become a pro. They move the ball extremely well. They have a lot of pro sets. And yet, Minnesota beat them before they went on their COVID break. Minnesota handled them. So, again, another toss-up. And then you think about Ohio State. That one really hurt in Carver Hawkeye Arena. That's a game that everybody on Iowa feels like they should have won. Again, that's when their defense was just broken. A few possessions, and they were not able to find Arns. Kyle Young in the corner, Hawkeye fans, if you remember late, just last 3 or 4 minutes, just a lot of open shooters, which can't happen. But it seems like they've figured that out. So those revenge games were always my favorite to play in because you can't allow a team to sweep you, and that's what makes the league so good. But Penn State as well. Penn State jumps the passing lanes. They'll pressure you. They'll get up in you. Your guards have to really be smart. Hera is rebounding extremely well for them. And yet you would think Luka would have one of those 25 and 15 games against them because they just don't have a ton of depth inside. But if you're an Iowa fan, you can't say, hey, this is a game we should win or we're going to win. It's just not like that this year. Those are going to all be toss-ups.
Jess, well done by you as always. Can't wait to see you on the Big Ten Network, either calling games or as an in-studio analyst. Still an Iowa farmer from Iowa. Jess Settles, an all-time great Iowa Hawkeye men's basketball player, still at or near the top of most meaningful offensive statistical categories in the history of Iowa basketball. Jess, thank you so much. Good to catch up with you, and hope to catch up with you before the end of the season as we get into March Madness.
Well, I appreciate that. I especially appreciate all your listeners and the support they give to you. And I with this Fran McCaffrey offense, though, Dave, my spot on those rankings is dropping drastically. So I may be, we used to be top 5, but I'm now down in the top 20. These guys can really score.
Yeah, they can. Hey, again, Jess, thank you so much. And thanks again to Jess Settles. Thanks again for tuning in to our clip show with Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara. The best of the best. Man, we've got some great interviews and some great folks joining us. So I'm glad you got to see that for the first time or watch it again for a second or third time. Love to have you viewing the show. And thanks again to our advertisers and sponsors who make this show possible. And thanks to you for tuning in. So for Hawkeyed with me, Dave O'Hara, that's all from me. Thanks to all of you.